Los Angeles, a city that has long been a beacon of dreams, sun-kissed streets, and a sprawling urban landscape, is now engulfed in the flames of destruction. Known for its iconic skyline, the Hollywood sign, and the palm trees lining its streets, this city has long symbolized the pursuit of success and the allure of a glamorous lifestyle. But today its image is tainted by a catastrophic reality: fires ravaging the land, taking away not just homes but entire neighborhoods, and forcing residents to flee for their lives. The images that now dominate the headlines aren't of the typical glossy advertisements and vibrant celebrations. Instead, it's a city on fire, literal and metaphorical, a city forced to face its vulnerabilities and the incompetence of its leadership. In just a matter of days, Los Angeles has witnessed one of the worst wildfire seasons in recent history. The flames began in the dense forests surrounding the city, and as the winds picked up, they quickly spread to residential areas. Thousands of acres have been scorched, entire communities reduced to nothing more than rubble and ash. As fire departments across the city and surrounding regions mobilized to fight back, the reality of how unprepared the city truly was for such a disaster became painfully clear. Over 1,500 buildings have been destroyed, leaving families with nothing but memories, forced to start over with only the clothes on their backs. The fires have been so severe that over 100,000 residents have had to evacuate, abandoning their homes, their possessions, and their way of life to escape the fury of nature. These are not just stories you hear in passing, but real people, families with children, elderly residents, young professionals, all caught in the grip of a disaster that seemed to come out of nowhere. As the flames continued to rage, people had to make impossible choices: what to take, what to leave behind, who to save, and who to leave. Their lives turned upside down in an instant, with no time for preparations, no warning beyond the sound of fire trucks in the distance. And yet, despite the chaos and destruction, one thing becomes increasingly clear as the days go by: the incompetence of the government and its agencies. The sheer scale of the disaster speaks volumes about the lack of foresight, the lack of action, and the lack of accountability at the highest levels of leadership. While fire departments, local agencies, and volunteers have been working tirelessly to contain the blaze, there is a stark realization: the response to this crisis has been far too slow, far too inadequate. Where were the preventative measures that should have been in place long before the fire began? California has faced wildfires before, some of them even more devastating than this. And yet, here we are again, watching the same mistakes unfold. Where was the investment in infrastructure, in fire breaks, in measures that could have helped reduce the speed and spread of this fire? Where was the preparation for what was so obviously coming, given the dry conditions, the rising temperatures, and the increasing frequency of wildfires? Politicians eager to assure the public have been quick to make statements, to express their sympathy, and to vow that everything is being done. "We're doing everything we can," they claim. "We've mobilized all available resources." But the question remains: where were these resources before the fire reached the suburbs? Where was the leadership that could have put in place the systems, the policies, and the response that might have saved countless homes, thousands of lives, and so much of the city's natural beauty? It's not enough to show up when the destruction is already here. Leadership must act before disaster strikes, not after. As the days pass, it becomes increasingly difficult to ignore the fact that these fires are not just a natural disaster, they are the result of a profound failure in governance, a failure to plan, a failure to act, and a failure to learn from the past. And as the residents of Los Angeles continue to watch their city burn, one can't help but feel that they're not just battling nature, they're battling a system that has left them unprotected and exposed. And as the city begins to pick up the pieces, we have to ask, who will be held accountable for this? Will those who failed to protect the city, who failed to anticipate this disaster, face the consequences of their actions or their inaction? Or will this become just another chapter in the long list of crises where the politicians, too eager to speak but slow to act, get away with their incompetence? Beyond the immediate devastation, the environmental consequences of these fires are far-reaching. California is known for its biodiversity, for its forests, wildlife, and ecosystems that are essential not only to the state but to the entire planet. These fires have destroyed centuries of natural growth, wiped out habitats, and disrupted the delicate balance of ecosystems that many species rely on. The toll on wildlife has been devastating. Species that once thrived in these areas are now at risk, with many losing their homes and food sources. The fire has taken not just buildings but entire ecosystems, leaving nothing behind but scorched earth. It is a reminder of just how fragile our environment is and how easily it can be upended by both nature and human error. The effects of the fire aren't limited to the average Angelino. Even the wealthiest, the most famous, and those with the most influence have not been spared. Celebrities who, for so long, have lived in the safety of their multi-million-dollar mansions have watched in disbelief as their properties succumb to the flames. Homes belonging to high-profile individuals like Billy Crystal, Mandy Moore, and Paris Hilton have all been consumed by the fire. For these figures, who are often shielded from the daily struggles of the common person, this disaster has forced them to confront the same vulnerability faced by those living in the city's lower-income neighborhoods. But does it matter when the affluent are affected? Perhaps now the world will pay attention. While many in power may offer words of comfort, it is the community that has truly stepped up. Across the city, local residents have been banding together, opening their doors to displaced families, donating food and clothes, offering temporary shelter, and providing emotional support to those who have lost everything. The resilience of Los Angeles, of its people, shines through even in the face of this unprecedented crisis. It is a stark contrast to the empty promises of government officials who continue to assure the public that help is on the way. Too little, too late. For the residents of Los Angeles, this disaster is more than just a news headline. It is their reality, their lives, and their futures that have been forever altered. The loss of homes, businesses, and memories cannot be quantified. For many, the emotional toll is just as devastating as the physical destruction. And as the city attempts to rebuild, one must ask, will it be able to recover? Will it be able to restore the sense of security and stability that many once took for granted? The question that lingers in the air is simple yet profound. What will be done to ensure this never happens again? Will the government learn from its failures, or will it continue to operate under the assumption that such disasters are inevitable, beyond control? Will the politicians finally take responsibility and put in place the necessary measures to protect not just the wealthy, but every resident of Los Angeles, every corner of this sprawling metropolis? In the end, the devastation in Los Angeles serves as a stark reminder: natural disasters are inevitable, but government failures are not. It is a failure of leadership, a failure to act when it matters most. The fire that burns in Los Angeles is not just a fire of nature, it is a fire of neglect, a fire of arrogance, and a fire that can only be extinguished by those in power, learning that their inaction comes at the cost of lives, homes, and the future of the city itself. And until that happens, the flames will continue to burn, not just in the streets of Los Angeles, but in the hearts of its people.